What's up, everybody? I am the heavy metal messiah, Xander Mcintosh. And when I'm not on stage performing my guitar, my piano, anything else I'm doing, when I'm not on the wrestling ring, kicking some heads and taking some names, you can find me right here tonight on the 3 Count podcast. And that's where we're at right now.
Do you want to get live with me? Do you really want to ride with me? I'm in the club, baby, grind on me.
Welcome, everybody, to another great edition of the 3 Count podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by season 5 in our, 370-something episode, I would just hope you say it with me, I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's into the ring. So who's into the ring? You can find this man at Magnum Pro. You can find him at Next Level Wrestling. You can find him at NWA. You can find him at Flagship. He is the man from the 402 to 308 in the greatest place in the entire world. If you don't know where it is, look it up. You can find your own area codes. I'm not trying to spell everything else out for you. But he is the man that riffs on the guitar. He bangs on the drums. He smashes the bass. And then you know what? He could be the lead vocals of your favorite band too. He is the heavy metal messiah himself, Xander Mcintosh. What's up, man?
Oh, just chilling.
Nice. So it's funny because so you and I, the way we have our connection is through a common person, and anybody who watches our podcast knows Lou the franchise would be that guy. So you kind of know Anthony, and then Anthony kind of introduced us. And then here we are doing this podcast.
Yeah. I figured out that I'll just get connections to podcasts through the weirdest of places. And Anthony, he's a great guy. Yeah. So I'm glad that he came to me and said, "Hey, man, I got this guy that my friend, he runs a podcast, and I'll get you on him."
Yeah. So Lou is like really good people. I've known him since junior high. Like, it's crazy to think that it's been that long that we've known each other. But if there was something that him and I both kind of like grew together to like just love, was pro wrestling. It was like one of the things that brought us together. And when everybody sees this, they can be like, "What the hell?" But like back in like 2000 and 2001, like we were backyard wrestling, like because we wanted to do stuff too. Even when WWE had their whole promotion, was like, "Don't do this at home." We're like, "No, we are doing this at home on a trampoline."
Yeah, I don't know who actually listened to the "Don't try this at home" thing.
Nobody.
It's probably why my back is so messed up in my 20s.
Yo, I understand. I remember like just like trying random shit, like trying to do like backflips off of like the house onto a trampoline and onto somebody, and we had to put a mattress on the bottom because the trampoline springs were becoming too loose. So we had
stretched out.
Yeah, we had to like figure new stuff out on how we had to want to have fun wrestling matches. So nah, man. But Lou was one of those guys that like, it's weird because like he finds like random connections everywhere and just like knows how to point it out. So I was like, it was cool that he mentioned you, and I was like, yeah, we definitely gonna do this. But yo, talk to me, because I want to know, who is Xander Mcintosh?
So Xander Mcintosh, the heavy metal messiah, the self-proclaimed real headliner of any company that he works for. I'm the man. I'm the guy that's in the spotlight always. And if you try to steal that spotlight from me, let's just say it's not going to work out for you. See, I've got all of the talent. I've got all of the star power. I've got all the recognition. I've got all the girls trying to get at me. I've got all the fans following my tour bus. You know how it is. I'm the guy that everybody wants to be. All the girls wants to be with him. All the guys want to be him.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's something about being a headliner, just always, that brings like the fame side of everything, where you can't get away from it. It's like a weird, for lack of a better word, weird drug to be on. But so This is like one of my favorite questions to ask a lot of people when they come on the show, and it's one that I think is just like it's fun to hear people's origin stories, but more importantly, it's just kind of like fun to see like where they were. What was that moment where you decided I have to be a pro wrestler?
So I started watching wrestling when I was in middle school. Around, I want to say 2009 is when I first started watching, like 2008, 2009. Um, I was always this person that I got obsessed with something really easily. Like I used to watch NCIS, and for some reason that made me want to be an NCIS agent. I watched like 2 races of NASCAR, and I thought, oh, I'll be a NASCAR driver. Like every kid wanted to be a NASCAR driver when they're, yeah. Music was a big inspiration to me as well as a kid, so I always wanted to get dabble in music as well. But when I discovered pro wrestling, I just fell in love with, you know, everybody says this, that they fell in love with the pageantry, with the theatrics of it. I just thought that, it was a brutal sport. I saw them hitting each other. I'm just like, I could do that. I feel like I could punch somebody in the face. It's easy. I like to have like the least stressful thing, but also the most fun thing. And wrestling looked very fun to me. And I'm just like, that's got to be something that I could do, because it doesn't look easy, but it looks like something that I could maybe try my hand at. And even if it doesn't work, it looks fun. It looks like I'd have a good time doing it.
It's one of those things where, like, it's one of those things where, like, pro wrestling, like, it really is, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to say it's easy to pick up, because it
not.
Can be tough. It's tough to pick up, but like for some people, like, it just has like this natural ability. But then what drew me to wrestling too, and made me want to think about getting into pro wrestling, was the idea of like, listen, like, you can be a different character, and then you get to hit people, and then people pay to come see you hit people in a ring.
Yeah, like when I say that you get to hit people, I'm not a violent person. I'm really not. Like in real life, I'm a pacifist. But when I look at wrestling, I'm just like, so I get to do this very physical thing, and I like being very physical. Like I would constantly be in fights with my little brother all the time. I like being a physical person, and that would allow me to express that in a way that tells a story. One of the biggest aspects about me is that I love to tell a story. And that is why music is also such a big thing, because you tell a story through song. You tell a story through lyrics, through the notes that you play. And same thing, like that's why I like acting so much, is I get to tell a story. And that's what wrestling was to me. It's a sport where I can tell a story.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because you mentioned between like acting and music and then pro wrestling, and I hear it a couple of other times, right? That it's the same musical style, but it's just a different sheet of music, like different sheet of music. And I think about that all the time, where it's like, yeah, the aspect of storytelling is like incredible. Like I love to be able to go in a ring and tell a story of whatever's going on, right? Even if like, I don't know, there's a tag match and I only got like 8 to 10 minutes curtain to curtain to call for something. And I'm like, well, actually, I'm sorry, 6 to 8 minutes. And I'm in a tag match. We get curtain to curtain. And I'm like, bro, this is going to be the hardest thing to do, but we're going to try something
fun. You get
fun.
3 minutes tops there.
You get 3 minutes to work something. And I'll find a way to like interact with the crowd to get them to either cheer me or boo me. But nonetheless, like it is fun to be able to be like, all right, well, I'm going to damage this dude because he's a big guy. I'm going to try to kick his leg out and then try to tell the story about how I'm going to work his leg over real quick before he just like completely pummels me, and or vice versa, right? It doesn't matter. But it is fun to be a part of a situation, or being in a situation where it's like you're among like a bunch of people and these guys are all cheering for you or they're all booing you, and you get to take them on a roller coaster. And I think it's that, I don't know if there's anything outside of being a dad, right? I don't know if there's anything cooler than that.
Yeah, I love pro wrestling because I get to perform in front of an audience. Now, I've been a very shy person my entire life, and wrestling really helped me open up my confidence to the point where I can, in real life, like talk to people. I can be outward with people. I used to hide away in my notebooks, and just like I'd have a song lyric, like I'd write down lyrics in my notebooks at school and just hide away in that and not talk to people. Or I'd have my earbuds in, my headphones on or something, and I'd just be there. But wrestling, being able to perform in front of a crowd, having to have that opportunity to interact with people has really opened me up. And I love that aspect of it where, it doesn't matter how much time I have out in front of the audience. I could have the 6 to 8 minutes curtain to curtain. I could have the 30 minutes bell to bell. If I'm out there and I'm in front of people, those are my main focus. And those are the people that I'm opening myself up to. And that is where all my newfound confidence has come from in the last 6 years I've been doing this.
Yeah, and it's one of the things for me where it's like I've always been kind of like an outgoing person, like just me, just kind of like always in like finding a way to like network with a bunch of people and just like get along with everybody. But what I think is funny is that wrestling got me to kind of like give me a goal into doing something that I wanted to do. I know like when I started like my journey of like losing weight, right? Because after I left the military, I decided I was like, I don't want to ever work out again. And so I went from being like 100 to like 90 pounds to like 230. And I started working out, getting really like trying to get in good shape. And then from like in 2020, I decided I was like, yo, I want to try this pro wrestling thing. And I found a guy who was a trainer. And so he took me in. And then I was like, all right, I'm here. And I saw some pictures of me and I was like, now I really want to dial in everything and just figure out what I'm going to do. So like it gave me like a point to like aim for.
Hmm?
And then started working out, changed my diet, changed my workout habits, got a coach. He taught me how to do some things. And then like everything started dialing in even more. And then I became a personal trainer myself. And I was like, all right, now I'm even more dialed in because like there's no excuse for me to be out of shape because I'm training everybody else to get in shape. And I was like, now like I'm super focused on everything. And then so it really gave me like it's one of those things where I've told people like if you put me in a room and told me to figure something out or just aim for a target, if you point me to the target, I'll get to the target. And so it was very cool that I was able to kind of like figure it out myself and create like this own little world and then be like, all right, we're gonna go hit this new mark and then try to like see what shape we can get into.
Yeah, I've struggled with my weight for so many years because one of my first jobs, I worked at a Wendy's, and every day on my lunch break, I would get a cheeseburger or something, like a double cheeseburger. And that was like the start of my fast food addiction, and that I've been struggling with for the past 10 years. So, like one of my biggest thing is like I'm trying so hard to get down and like just get back into shape. I used to be so skinny when I was in high school. But right now I'm like struggling with my weight constantly. I'm currently on the downward trend of it where I'm losing weight. But that was like my biggest holdback for the first 5 years of me wrestling was everybody was saying, "Oh, you're too out of shape." And when I started gaining weight, people told me, "You're not going to be a wrestler because you're not in shape. You're not you need to be like fit, you need to be muscular, you need to be skinny, you have to have the abs, and you're not going to make it as a wrestler unless you do that." And I think even with something holding me back like that, I still feel like I've managed to get myself to a good enough spot in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that full point about like you have to have like the 6-pack abs and like
I never
you
said
gotta
I
be
agreed
like,
with it.
yeah, like no, I mean, like not you, right? Because you didn't
Yeah.
say it, but those people are telling you that, and I was like,
Mhm.
if you look at guys like around, I mean, look at Otis, right?
Mhm.
With Alpha Academy, like he's a perfect example. Like the dude is over, he's a big guy, right? Vader wasn't that dude. Vader was just a big dude who hit really hard. Let's be
Yeah,
frank.
like
You know?
Vader wasn't in shape, but he legitimately looked like he could kick your ass,
Yeah,
and he definitely could in real life. Like just because you don't have abs doesn't mean you're not like strong.
right.
And if you look at a guy that wrestles around the Kansas area, and the Oklahoma and stuff like that, Sam Stackhouse, he's not in shape at all. But you know what? He's a damn good wrestler. He's entertaining, and he's really made a career out of what he can do. And That dude is like an inspiration to me, honestly.
It's something that my trainer always told me though, is that he's like, there's 3 types of shape, right? You're either out of
Mhm.
shape, you're in shape, or you're in wrestling shape. And those are 3. 2 of those are very important, right? Being out of shape, clearly you're just
Mhm.
not in shape, right? But being in shape, just because you're in shape doesn't mean you're in wrestling shape. And that's
Exactly.
the big thing too. Like I think a lot of people forget that, like, just because you're, look at Keith Lee, right? The dude is a
Mhm.
hoss, and he is in wrestling shape, and he is in shape as well for
Mhm.
himself. Like he can do everything that anybody else can do. So I'm like, yo, I don't like, I hate the idea that people are like, you have to be like super cut and like 6-pack abs and like, no, because even John Cena wasn't that guy. Like
Oh yeah,
Batista wasn't that guy. And
yeah.
those
I
guys
know.
were jacked.
I know people that are super athletic in the sports that they do, but they would not be able to handle wrestling.
Right.
Like just because they can run down a court doesn't mean that they can last 6 minutes in a wrestling ring. Like if you're just working your legs, cool. In wrestling, you're working everything.
Yeah.
You were literally doing like all sorts of body movement. You have to be able to keep your wind in wrestling. And one of the biggest compliments I've gotten from a dude who's been wrestling as long as I've been alive is that, even though I don't look like I can definitely keep my wind in the wrestling ring where I can go 30 minutes. I can do an hour if I needed to.
Well, I mean, when you look at Lawrence Taylor, right? Regarded as one of the
Mm-hmm.
greatest linebackers of all time, headline WrestleMania 3, right? Going
Mm-hmm.
against Bam Bam Bigelow, a man who doesn't look like he's in shape, but my man was running circles around LT, and
Yeah.
LT even said it. He was like, "Bro, this is a whole different place. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not." He's like, "I was tired within like the first 5 minutes of the
Yeah.
match." It's like, you're the greatest linebacker of all time. What do you mean?
Yeah,
So
and like in wrestling, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But when you're playing a sport, like I've never played football. I don't know how that goes. But you have time to like you have the little timeouts in the time in between plays to kind of like recover and rest a little bit. You can sit out on the bench or you can as they're setting up to do the or they throw the football. I don't know anything about football. I'm sorry. But they have that little time in between where they can stop and they can catch their breath.
yeah,
In wrestling, you don't have that. You
no.
really don't have that.
The best you get is a rest hold for maybe a couple seconds. That's the
Yeah,
best you
and
get.
I don't even like calling those rest holds. I call them work holds
Yeah,
because like in wrestling, you have to be able to keep your wind. You don't have time to rest. So like calling them rest holds is like an insult a little bit. But I
I like
mean, we've
that.
all called them.
He's
We've all
mad.
called yeah. That wasn't even my words. That was somebody. I took a seminar with somebody who said that. I think it was Bob Evans.
That sounds like very much like a Bob Evans thing to
Yeah.
say. What's up, Brutal Bob? I'm gonna tag you in this video too, so you can see it.
I think it's what he said. I took a seminar. He does a really good seminar. Bob
Yeah.
Evans is great. I love him. And if anybody has the chance to do a Bob Evans seminar, they should. If you're an aspiring wrestler, if you're a trained pro wrestler, if you've been doing this for 20 years, do a Bob Evans seminar. Read it. Go subscribe to his Facebook stuff. Go read his Facebook stuff because he has some really, really good advice on there.
Or you can check out the episode that he did on this podcast, and then you guys
Oh,
can
yes,
go
that
follow
too.
the
You can
wrestling life
also,
as well.
yes.
Yeah, because when we were on here talking, we talked for probably about like 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and we had like a great conversation, filled with a lot of knowledge. And then also, we were talking about the wrestling life as well. So if you guys haven't get a chance to, you should go definitely check that out too, because it's worth it. It's worth checking out. So you've been in this 6 years. I'm sure you have one of
Mhm.
these. I love asking this question to every single person who comes on the show. But what's the worst bump you've ever taken?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I've had several. Well, there was one time I took a small package pile driver where I then had to roll into a powerbomb neckbreaker combo. And I, at the time, was not good with sitting up for power bombs. So I expressed that to them, and they said, "Nah, it's good. We'll handle it. Don't worry about it." And I was very nervous going into it. This was my like debut match on the main show, as that character at least. And when it got time to do the spot, I took the small package pile driver perfectly, which was news to me because I was very nervous about that as well. But took it perfectly, rolled into the thing, and they lifted me up, and I could not sit up. So when the guy went to give me the neck breaker, I dropped straight down on my neck. And apparently when I did that, my foot went and hit the one guy in the face, cut him open. And so instead of asking me if I was all right, they just started yelling at me because I cut the one dude open by accident. You know, everybody else in the back and all the fans were asking me if I was okay because I landed on my neck. I was fine. I didn't die. But that's just one of those things where you if you don't want to take a move, you don't feel comfortable with it, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Don't do it.
Because it could have turned out so much worse.
It could
have. Like I have dislocated my elbow taking a power bomb before. Having the same issue of not being able to sit up, where he lifted me for a power bomb, I couldn't sit up, and he just dropped me, and I somehow twisted and landed on my arm. This wasn't even during a show. This was before the show.
Yeah. I remember one time, like, I had someone tell me, they're like, "Hey, I'm about to do this move over the top rope. Is it cool if I do it with you?" And I was like, "Bro, I'm not good at catching people. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with you, and I'm not comfortable with it. So I mean, if you want to take the chance, bro, go right ahead. But I'm just gonna let you know, like, I will do my best." But so fortunately for me, I was working with another tag partner, and he was like, "Yeah, I got you, bro." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna stand here and try to help out, but I'm just gonna be honest, like, it won't be pretty." And then he was like, "No, it's fine." So he did it, and then, like, sure enough, like, he landed mostly on my tag partner and some of it on me. So then I took, like, a brunt of it too. And then, like, they threw me in the ring, and then one of my good friends was like, "I'm gonna hit you with a frog splash," and that's what he did. I was like, "Thanks."
I was in we did a lumberjack match, and I was one of the lumberjacks, and the spot was we all kind of pool around one of the guys, the heel of the match, and we all kind of pool around him to help him back in the ring, and the face was gonna jump on us, do like a somersault, and I guess I wasn't close enough because when he did the somersault, his the heel of his foot hit me right on the bridge of the nose. That was all it was enough because I started bleeding from my nose instantly. And all I remember from it was some dude, as I was, like, selling on the ground, looks at me and goes, "Oh man, that's real blood."
No. It's a capsule. I just stuck it right here in the nostril and just let it happen. I feel like that's a thing that, like, because, like, obviously it's no secret. It's predetermined, right? I don't use that F word, but it is predetermined. But accidents happen in the ring a lot.
Yeah. I'm no stranger to having my nose bleed in matches. I actually enjoy it sometimes when it happens because I feel like it can add a bit more to a match because that's technically getting busted open the hard way, right? It's not like the most respectable way. I want to say, like, if you get your forehead busted open, it's not the toughest way, but I feel like that can still add something to a match because you have that visual of blood coming out of somebody, and, like, oh, they were hit hard enough that the nose busted open, and so that was one of those things where I'm like, okay, this hurt, but oh well, it's fine because one, I can take it. Two, it added something to it.
Yeah, and also, like, if like, I have a history of, like, being busted open, you can kind of react differently to it than what you normally was. Like, normally you can just turn it up and just be, like, ultra angry, or you can just be like, "Oh my god, I'm bleeding," and then cover your face. But it's it just depends, like, on how you want to handle, like, that whole ordeal that happens.
Like, I got my nose busted open in a match in, like, 2020. I don't remember what happened, but I think I took a clothesline to the face, and nose started bleeding. And from that moment forward, everybody said that the match got more physical and looked a lot better because I took that blood and I made it part of the match. I made it as like a driving force for how I would continue going forward in the match.
No, I like that. I like that though. Especially like you said, if you have that element that you can add to it,
Mhm.
it's definitely better. So let me ask, what's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn being in the business?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. I like that one. One of the hardest lessons is like this isn't for everybody. This really isn't for everybody. I've had to learn that pretty early on because there's so much more that goes into it than just either being in shape or being able to hit somebody without killing them. You know, you have to be able to be athletic. You have to be able to have good charisma. You have to be able to remember everything what you're doing and be able to keep doing it. You know, there's a lot more that goes into it. You have to be a character. You have to be a presence. You have to be able to lift somebody and put them down safely and make it look like you didn't. You know, so one of the hardest lessons I've learned is you have like this isn't for everybody, but if you're going to do it, you have to try your best to be good at it and be safe and be something bigger than you are because we really are like local celebrities, right? I don't know if you do you get like recognized outside of wrestling ever?
So funny enough that you asked that question. I moved recently from Maryland to Massachusetts, and when I was living in Massachusetts, not so much around my local area because no one really was like watching wrestling like that, but some of the other places, like I would stop at like a gas station in like let's say Pennsylvania, and yeah, then I would be like, "Oh, you're Red Dog." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm always wearing the same hat, so it
Yeah,
shows." But yeah, they're like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" So,
yeah.
but yeah, sometimes it happens, but other times, like now I live in Massachusetts, no one knows. They're like, "Oh, you're the guy that's the wrestler." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks."
Mhm. Yeah, so I'll get recognized outside of wrestling, and it's always a shock to me because I never realized that that would actually happen to me. I thought, oh, people aren't gonna see me because I'm so much different from my wrestling persona than I am outside of like wrestling. But people still recognize me, so I realized that I have to be that local celebrity. I have to be a big enough presence in the ring. So one of the hardest things to work on was being able to open up, being able to speak loud enough that people can hear me and be able to remember my name and just be that person that when they see me on the streets, they're like, "Oh my god, that's the guy that I watched wrestle," and not just that weirdo with the long hair.
I mean, I do hear that. I do hear that. It's crazy too because like for me, it's funny because like when I was having this situation happen. It was actually a few days ago at my job, right? So this person came in, they want to do filming for content. And when they approached me, they're like, "Hey, we have a bunch of videos that we want to do. We're gonna have this, this, and this. Is that cool with you?" And legit is how I was. I was like, "Yeah, man, that's great. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. So you just need me to tell you my story, like who I am. Yeah, all right, cool. And then my favorite workout, cool. I got you." And then she legitimately on that first interaction was like, "Oh no, this dude's not gonna have any energy whatsoever." And then the moment she's like, all right, yeah, so when you're ready, 3, 2, 1, is like, "What's up, everybody? It's your friendly neighborhood Red Dog, aka Clifford Miller." And she was like, "Oh, I didn't see this coming. I have to
Yeah,
restart this all over again." But
yeah.
she thought it was crazy. So I was like, "Oh yeah, right when you turn the lights on, the energy will go up, bro. Like, trust
Oh
me."
yeah, it's so much different from like how I am in the ring versus how I am outside. Because like I mentioned, I open up a lot more and I'm more confident, but I'm still that shy person at heart. Like I don't talk to a lot of people. I don't like go out of my way to be this like most outward person. I'm not always screaming at the top of my lungs, but when I'm in the ring, as soon as I walk through that curtain, I am somebody else. And that is what I like about having my wrestling name be different from my actual name
Yeah.
is I can feel like I'm a different person. I can feel like uh, when I'm outside of the ring, when I'm at my normal job and I'm just driving a forklift, I'm just Jake Muscle. I'm just there. I'm just some dude. But when I step through the curtain and I step into the ring, I'm Xander Mcintosh, the heavy metal messiah. I am their person to watch. I'm the star of the show no matter where I go. And that is when I try to get everybody to look at what I'm doing.
I hear you. And I remember because I was at a wrestling show just this last weekend, and the announcer was like, "Hey, this seems kind of bland." He's like, "Your stuff is he's like, your weight is classified, your location is unknown, and your name is like, and I'm supposed to announce you as Clifford Miller." I was like, "No, don't do that." He's like, "Why?" I was like, "My name is Red Dog. Like, do not do Clifford." I was like, "I don't need people knowing my shoot name." I was like, and everybody told him like, "Oh no, trust me, when you see him." And I was like, I'm just because like I was a late addition to this wrestling show, and I was like, I'm just trying to make your job easy. Trust me. If I wanted to, I would tell you, you are gonna use my height, because he's like, I don't do height. I was like, you're gonna use my height, which is 5'9" to 6'2", depending on what convenience store I'm running from. I was like, my weight is for it. And then my location, where I'm from, where I hail from, is the island of misfit toys. I was like, but we don't got time for all that. So it's just this for now.
Yeah, my like build like location and everything, that has changed tremendously. When my very first match, I said I was straight out of the mosh pit.
Nice.
And everybody mispronounces it. They'll say straight from the mosh pit, which ruins the joke entirely. Because it's supposed to be like the straight out of Compton meme. But everyone would say it differently. So I'm like, okay, well, if I'm changing up the character a little bit anyway to make me more of the star of the show, why not be from Hollywood, California? Because like then I can actually say, oh yeah, I'm from Hollywood. I'm from the Hollywood Hills, or the suburbs of it. But you get it.
I like that. I would also say like another place that you could tell people is like where you're from, like hailing from where the lights shine the brightest.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, yeah, I was like, that's fun. I'd be like, and I would be like, and you got to scream it like you're a rock star. Yo, we're gonna jump into my favorite part of the 3 Count podcast, which is the 3 Count podcast 10 count questions. And Mr. Mcintosh, is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast, and whatever your answer is, that is your answer.
Okay.
So we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing. And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Deadpool.
Hey, he's right there. Look. Yeah. Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
Favorite TV show?
Psych.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel, definitely.
Favorite cartoon?
Phineas and Ferb.
Let's go. I like that. Motley Crue or Poison?
Motley Crue.
Favorite podcast?
Definitely this one.
Hell yeah.
I'm sorry, I gotta do it. Gotta shill here, man. Gotta shill.
Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
I want to see Captivating Alan Lyric, and I can get you his contact info to get him on here. He has been working his ass off for the past year. He was trained by Dustin Rhodes.
Let's go.
Drove all the way to Texas to do it, and he has been getting so much better since he last since I had last seen him before he went down there. When he went down there, he trained, he came back, and he's just been getting better and better. And just a little bit of a shout out, I'm actually wrestling him next week. PWP Live, Omaha, Nebraska. If anybody's in the area, if you guys are even just 3 hours away, come watch this show. Me versus Captivating Alan Lyric. Xander Mcintosh, the heavy metal messiah, is going one-on-one with the captivating one. And it surely will be captivating.
Let's go. I like it. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show. Favorite curse word?
Oh. Am I allowed to say it? Are we PG here?
No, we are not PG here.
Oh, it's got to be fuck.
It's got to be.
Say it yeah. I say it way too much. Like, I say it every other sentence. It's got to be my favorite.
Like YouTube is probably like blowing their minds out right now. They're like, damn it, like this show, it could get monetized, but they curse all the time. Like, fuck you, YouTube. That's why we go to Rumble.
In the words of Supermax Sean Hernandez, fuck.
But well, those are all my questions I have for you, man. So the last thing I need for you is let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
All right, my favorite part of the podcast. All right, you guys can find me anywhere on social media at XMCI Wrestling. You can look me up as Xander Mcintosh. My name is right there on the screen. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. You can even find me on Discord. Anywhere you guys think you can find Xander Mcintosh, you can probably find him. You'll see me wrestling. You'll see my music stuff. You'll even see stuff I work on with movies. And that's where I'm at, and that's where you'll find me.
Bet. Well, he gave you all of his handles. He told you where you can find him. He even gave you the promo for his next match that's coming up. So you know what that means. Like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home because this is the 3 Count Podcast Business Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And like I said, it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering the ring? You see him right there, the heavy metal Messiah himself, Xander Mcintosh. You guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately following us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're even checking us out on Amazon Music, or you're checking us out on that dumb jingle iHeartRadio, or whatever it goes. You're buying all of our merch on ProWrestlingTees.com, or you're even checking us out on ForYourWear.com. You're doing all that stuff. You're telling your mom about us. You're telling your dad about us. You're telling your sisters, your brothers, your uncles, your aunties, your cousins, your best friends, your not so best friends, your enemies, because we love haters too. You're doing all that stuff, or really you're just kind of waiting for this episode to end, waiting for the outro, and then choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's going on? It is Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And what we need from you guys is to kind of show some support, right? We want you guys to go to our YouTube channel at the 3 Count Podcast, go on to our Twitch channel, 3 Count Pod, or even our Facebook page, 3 Count Podcast, and just give us a like, follow, subscribe, even give us a comment, right? Do all that cool stuff. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies, right? Or you can even come talk to us and just chat us up, right? Find us on Twitter at 3count_pod. Find us on IG and on TikTok at 3 Count Pod. Go ahead and leave us those comments. We want to hear from all of you guys. We're going to keep putting on videos and stuff like that. We want to keep making this content better, so we want your guys' support. Also, if you guys want to, go support us at ProWrestlingTees.com/the 3 Count Podcast, or even find us on ForYourWear.com. Give us the support. Show us your guys' love, because we want to give it right back to y'all. So, in the meantime, between time, love y'all.